Today we'll be combining two lessons, 2.5 and 2.6, Distributive Property and Expanded Form. Let's start with the definition. The distributive property states that multiplying the sum by a number is the same thing as multiplying each addend by the number, then adding the products. Don't worry, we're going to practice this and it'll all make a lot of sense. Okay, we're going to be solving the problem 6 times 13. We're going to start by modeling this on a grid. So I'm going to draw a rectangle that shows 6 times 13. Okay. And then I'm going to think about this side as being the 6, and this top or this bottom, this whole part from here to here, that's our 13. But to make this a little bit easier and to use the distributive property, we're going to break that 13 down into the addends 5 plus 8. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And here's my 5. And here I have 8 more. All right. It says label and shade the smaller rectangles. Use 2 different colors. Well, that's a little bit hard for me on here, but I'm going to just kind of draw a little line so we know this is the 5 side. Okay? Now we're going to use the distributive property to find the product of each of these 2 smaller rectangles. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to be multiplying 6 times the 5, because that's this part right here. And 6 times 5, everyone knows, is 30. Now I have to multiply the 6 times the 8 part right here. 6 times 8. And that equals 48. And then all I have to do is add those up. So 30 plus 48 equals 78. And we have just solved the problem 6 times 13. 6 times 13 equals 78. Okay, we're going to continue practicing. Let's go ahead and use the distributive property and break down our second factor, which is the 13, into 2 easy numbers to multiply. I could break it down into, I'm going to go ahead and draw my 6 side. I could break 13 down into 4 plus 9, 10 plus 3. We've already done 8 plus 5. I think for now, I'm going to break this down into 3 plus 10. Because I know 3 plus 10 is 13, and that's really easy for me to think about. So 6 times 3 plus 10. That's the same thing as 6 times 13, right? All right, let's go ahead and do it. The first part I'm going to do is this square right here. 6 times the 3 is my 18. 6 times 3 equals 18. Now I take my 6 times this 10. 6 times 10 equals 60. And now all I have to do is add those up, add the 2 products up. I have 18 plus 60 equals 78. And no matter how I break the 13 up, it still comes up with the same product. 6 times 13 is 78. Did you know you could use the expanded form along with the distributive property to solve problems too? Let's check it out using some larger factors. So we have the problem 5 times 143. I am going to look at 143 and I am going to expand it. So I am going to have 143 equals, and I know you guys remember this, 100 plus 40 plus 3. I'm breaking it out into place value. So now I have up here on the problem, there's my 143, 5 times the first part. So that would be 100 plus the second part plus my ones. All right, we've written it in expanded form, and now let's go ahead and use the distributive property and solve it. 5 times 100, that's this part, plus 5 times the 40, plus 5 times the, hope you said 3, Okay, we're going to go ahead and use the model, and we'll take it slow so it makes a lot of sense. So here's the model that we've used before. So we're going to multiply the hundreds, 5 times 100 plus 5 times 40 plus 5 times 3. So 5 times 100 is 500. That's this box right here that we're solving for first. Now we're going to multiply by the tens. 5 times 40. I know my basic fact is 5 times 4. That's 20. And since I'm in the tens column, there is 1 0 in the tens. So I'm going to go ahead and add that 0. So now I've multiplied 5 times 40 right here. And in just a moment, we're going to go on and see the next part. Okay, and now we still have to multiply the ones, the 5 times 3, and that is 15. And that is this box right here. And you can see in step 4 here, they've shaded it in. So the 500, that's this part. The 200 is what we got when we multiplied 5 times 40. And this 15 came from 5 times 3. Now we'll go ahead and add these up. And you've just figured out that 7 times 143 is 715, and we did that with a combination of expanded form and the distributive property. Okay, let's try it using a word problem. The gift shop at the animal park orders 3 boxes of toy animals. Each box has 1,250 toy animals. How many toy animals does the shop order? So we need to multiply 3 times 1,250. And we're first going to start by using the expanded form. So 3 times 1,250 is the same thing as 3 times 1,000 plus 200 plus 50, because isn't that 1,250 in expanded form? And then we'll go ahead and use the distributive property. We have 3 times 1,000 plus, we've got to keep remembering to multiply by 3 times the next number, 200, plus, again, the 3 times the 50. All right, and now we'll go ahead and add the partial products. 3 times 1,000 is 3,000. 3 times 200, let's think, 3 times 2 is 6, plus the 2 zeros, 600. And 3 times 50, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 0 is 150. And then I can go ahead and add this up. So the shop ordered 3,750 toy animals. Okay, let's try one more together. We're going to use the expanded form and the distributive property again to solve 5 times 315. So I am going to first think of this as 5 times, and now I'm going to break 315 up into expanded form. 300 plus 10 plus 5. There's my expanded form. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it into the distributive property. That means I have to keep multiplying times a 5. 5 times 300 plus 5 times 10 plus 5 times 5. Okay, 5 times 3 is 15. And I have the 2 zeros because it's 300. 5 times 10, I know that one, that's 50. And I know 5 times 5 is 25. So now I need to add them up. And I like to add my numbers up vertically. So I'm going to put 1,500, 50, and 25. And let's add them up. And we have our new product, 1,575. Okay, it's your turn now. Go ahead and work on problems 2 and 3 on page 66 first. Check with your teacher before you go on, or if you're at home, check with an adult to make sure that you've got it correct. And then after you've done that, go on and do pages 67 and 68. You've got this.